Longtime fans of the show should be familiar with the lender formerly known as Sue Pullen, and I'm pleased to announce that she's back, fresh off a rebrand and ready to help as Sue Mackey. Sue is a certified mortgage advisor at Fairway Independent Mortgage, an equal housing lender who focuses on finding the right product for you and your needs. She has over 20 years of experience helping thousands of homeowners. Whether it's purchasing, refinancing, or even a reverse mortgage, Sue will help. Sue's licensed in 36 states now, so reach out and let Sue Mackey it happen for you. The best way to reach her is just give her a call at 520-977-7904 or in an email, spullen@fairwaymc.com. Fairway Independent Mortgage has an MLS number of 2289. Sue Mackey has an MLS number of 206048. That email again, spullen@fairwaymc.com, and that phone number is 520-977-7904. Shoot Sue an email and let her know she needs to update that address.
You are listening to an entertainment program put together by a company called Financial Ineptitude. Anything said on this show is not an endorsement or professional advice. Would you really want to tell a court of law you were suing us because you thought taking financial advice from two idiots on a podcast put out by Financial Ineptitude was a good idea? Really? Clown hat, smiley face.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the China Shop. I'm your host, Kyle, and today we are bringing back Vanta Trading's Baba Yaga to talk about some of the changes that they've recently announced. Did I say it right this time?
I don't know if
It's
there's a right way.
right?
I don't know. Everyone says it differently, so we'll roll with it.
I go with Vanta, but I've heard it pronounced Vanta too many times now to think that I'm right anymore.
I don't know. We should probably settle on the way to say it sometime or another, but
I know you can leave the ambiguity. It could be like left and right Twix. Is Vanta better or is Vanta better? Let the people decide.
We should do a poll. I should do a Twitter poll.
There you go.
How do you pronounce this?
I have to get like 10 more accounts so I can try to skew those results.
Kyle is going to get what he wants no matter what.
Right. All right, before we jump into discussing this big announcement, though, I do have to check some boxes. So, Baba, can you tell people where they can find you and maybe give us the elevator pitch on what they can expect when they join?
Yeah, sure. So you can find us at vantatrading.com or Vanta Trading, spelled Vanta. And what they could expect is an opportunity to engage with a community of traders who are maybe a little different than what you would find on FinTwit, as with regard to being loud and boisterous and, flaunting all the things that they have, and people that are a little more down to earth and focused on performance and results and consistent approaches to the market that yield those two things. So
one last thing, please feel free to reach out with your suggestions, corrections, or questions for future guests. You can do that by sending us an email at twobulls@financialineptitude.com, or you can join our free Discord server where all the kids too cool for cheer squad or foosball spend their time sharing our joys and miseries with other like-minded market connoisseurs. All those links will be in the episode description, recorded in the annals of the internet wisdom scrolls, proving to all that come after that Baba Yaga, he was here, and you bore witness. All right, how's that for an intro?
That's bossy. I like it.
Yeah, I had a little bit of free time.
The annals of the internet, man. You are just getting after it, bro.
Yeah, I might have went a little too far into that.
No,
it's too late now.
Yeah, let it ride. Let it ride.
All right, Baba, talk to me, man. Tell me about this big announcement.
All right, man. So can I explain a little bit on the front end of what
Yes,
we had
please.
done and kind of what we had seen? Yeah, so you've been around the Discord, and that's the primary way that that's the primary medium or vehicle for this group, Vanta Trading. It's a Discord room that we hang out in, and Banks and myself, we had this idea of creating a space where all the things that we learned through the years, which are actually documented on your podcast. So my story of trading and some of the rough patches and some of the highlights or whatever, and the story of that, and how Banks and I met, and then Banks's perspective. I think there's an episode where he talks through all of that. And so we've been through the trenches. We've had some high highs, we've had some low lows, and we wanted to create an opportunity to help expedite people in their process, because we feel like we've made almost every mistake that a trader makes as they're trying to go from wherever they are to where they're trying to be. If that's a break even trader trying to get profitable, if that's a trader that's not profitable trying to get to break even, if it's supplementary income, or if it's the dream of taking on risk full time and doing this deal day in and day out all day long or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And when we set out, I think maybe there was a couple of distinctions that I mentioned earlier when you asked me, like, what, tell us about Vanta and where you can find us. That was my best Kyle impersonation, by the way.
Nailed it.
Yeah, obviously. But
Yeah.
We didn't want to position ourselves like in the, if you want to call it this, like in the marketplace or in the Twitter sphere, in fin
Flashy side.
as that type of well, that's just not like who I am, and that's not who Banks is. So like it would feel very inauthentic, and I would be kind of embarrassed if I was like talking about cars and fancy stuff, like, because that's not the life that I live. And I think that that appeals to a lot of people, because the unspoken, well, now it's kind of spoken, but in the past, the unspoken idea was, if you come here, you'll have this stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
I think people either actually make that promise, or maybe they don't outright say it, but that's effectively what they're communicating. Yeah, it's an implied idea.
Yeah.
And so for us, the goal was like, we don't want to position ourselves in that way, because whatever type of trader is lured by that is probably not going to mesh well with what we do and how we do it and kind of who we are. Not to say that they couldn't, but if that's the big appeal, like, well, that's not really us. That's not what we're doing.
That's almost like a maturity thing too, kind of, right? Like your expectations are not in line with what the actual reality is at that point.
Yeah, I mean, there's of all the traders I know, which I feel like I know quite a few after this long, who I would vouch for, like their trading and their abilities and capacities. None of them position themselves that way, and none of them live like that.
Yep.
It's very much not reality. Now, I mean, trading can afford you some niceties and some flexibility, and I'm not saying there's not upside to being able to earn extra money, sometimes in a very small amount of time, a nice amount of income. Like, there are benefits to that, but yeah, Lambos and,
well, if you're getting outsized returns, that means that your risk parameters are all screwed up.
Quite potentially. I mean, every so often you catch something special, but yeah, I mean, so anyways, the point being in all of that's not us, and that's not what we wanted to do. So we made this room, and we thought what we'll do is we'll model, because we talk on the phone every day. Well, we used to. Now it's in Discord, but we talked on the phone every day. And I was like, dude, I think that like our conversations and how we talk about the market would be so helpful for people. And he was like, yeah, man, like sometimes I think if we just like recorded ourselves and just, I was like, or had a medium for people to listen. So we thought, okay, well, that's what we'll do. We'll make a Discord, and we'll talk through morning plans, and we'll model for people what kind of what they, not exactly what they should be doing, because what they do needs to make sense to them, but we'll model what the big value is, which is a consistent approach to the markets that yields a measured result over time. So we'll model that.
Yeah.
That'll be a great way to help people get better. It's like, all right, cool. And then we'll put together videos where we talk about trading logic. Why did we get into a trade? Like trade reviews. We'll put together videos where we talk about specific nuanced things that we use in our trading. We'll do town hall discussions where we kind of talk about things we're maybe developing, or we're new things we're incorporating into our process, and how we go about doing that. And we'll have this content available. So we'll make content that reinforces the ideas and the strategies that we use in the market. And then we'll model that live day in and day out. And then we'll just be there for
Mm-hmm.
people. Like, we'll make sure that the room knows that if they need anything, they can reach out. Maybe we'll reach out to everyone in the room, once a month or something and check in. And what we realized after, I don't actually know how many months it's been, 6 months, 8 months, however long it's been.
Has
It's been
it
a
been that
while. I
long?
think it's actually been that long. I think it was
It
March,
might
and
be.
we're in September.
Yeah.
So
God damn.
yes,
Time
7
flies, huh?
months, dude. Crazy, 7 months. So probably like 5 months in, we started to realize that we didn't have good metrics for how we could decide if we were being successful. Like, what we
Yeah.
realized is, like, I can have a good day or a good week or a good month. Banks can have a good day, good week, or good month. And yes, by doing that, by yielding profit and doing it on voice live and talking through it, there is some osmosis learning that can happen. And then they can, people could go watch videos, but we don't have a metric for, like, how is Kyle doing in
Right.
moving his needle from where he is to where he wants to be, and better yet, where does Kyle want to be?
Right. Yeah.
And then what are the things that are holding Kyle back from being there? And if we knew that stuff, then we could actually speak directly to Kyle, for Kyle, and tailor some help to him, and then it would be measurable. Because if we find out where Kyle is now, we could reevaluate and see where Kyle is in 3 months, and then we would be able to say, is the work we're doing actually accomplishing the goal that we have for the room, which is not to show off. I mean, side tangent, but like, there's very few times that I post like my P&L at the end of a day. Now, the room is well aware by being on voice where I am, generally speaking, in trades. And some, I'll post screenshots or, do some video reviews or talk through trades, especially, it's especially obvious when we're talking about a certain area. Like, if we trade here, then I'm going to do this kind of thing. And then when we get there, I'm doing that
Yeah.
thing. But
You're not a call out room, though.
no, not a call out room. And the reason is, with the idea of like a call out, is there's a responsibility and an ownership piece that is completely devoid on the part of the
Yes.
participant.
Yes.
If there's call outs, and I mean, not to say like I'm not cloaked or veiled in what I'm doing or my approach, but what I'm saying is that builds dependency for performance, and it also alleviates the trader from the responsibility of the outcome of the trade.
That is the key point there. That is why I've always been against call out rooms or even like participating in any of them. The motivation behind it seems to be that it's shifting the responsibility from you being wrong to somebody else, and I don't see how that's beneficial to anybody.
Yeah, I think and I don't want to, like, I'm not pointing fingers, like, for people who run a service that people make an equitable exchange of their money to be a part of that service,
Mm-hmm.
and that service is to provide call outs throughout the day. If someone's happy with that, that's great. Their goals are just their goals and my goals would be different.
Yeah, I want to know
Right.
how to do it myself.
Yeah,
I don't want to
yeah,
be reliant on somebody else to be giving me the information that I need to survive every day.
yeah, yeah. And so we realized that like we just don't have it. Was just not measurable. So
Mhm.
we realized we had this measurability problem. And then we also realized that we looked at like churn rates for our room and people that come in on trial, and how many people stay, and how many people that come in on trial do we get to really interact with.
Right.
And we realized that, like, I mean, one of the problems there is, like, people land in a situation that's already in motion.
Yeah.
And so what I think they feel is that there's a bunch of people who are connected who all speak, quote unquote, like the same language. Like, we use a lot of the same terminology. People that have been around for a while know what I'm talking about when I'm discussing, like, if I say balance area rules apply, like, most people know, they've watched the video, they know what I'm talking about.
It's like
We
walking
realized
into a group full of friends and then not knowing where you're gonna, like, how do you like insert yourself into that situation and become part of that community?
exactly. And I think there's for newer traders, which we experienced this even just this past week, there's this feeling of like, and this is weird kind of feels weird to say, but they feel like someone said, like, I don't think I am like advanced enough
Right.
and like good enough to be here with all this like around you all, which I think is hilarious because I'm like, bro, you know, no perfection is going to be found here, but it's just it just kind of
It can be overwhelming,
yeah,
man.
it'd be overwhelming. It can be a little hurdle, and they can feel a little isolated or like you said, like on the fringe.
Hmm.
And we're like, we don't really have a vehicle to communicate, one, like expeditiously communicate that there is some value here for you and we value you being here. And how can we show that? Like if
Hmm.
we say that we're for them and we want them to succeed, we wanted to figure out a way to kind of remedy some of those feelings that people could have. So that was another part of it. And then the last piece was like learning styles. So for me, I do. I would like for someone to give me information or their thoughts or whatever about an idea. Say it was volume profile
Hmm.
or TPO. That's one of my favorites. So I would rather someone just produce information about TPO and then let me take that information and wrestle with that information and disprove it or prove it or tweak it or adjust it and make it fit into like the way that I approach things, which is what I have done with like market profiling. It's very much a bastardized version of market profiling, but for me, it's very efficient and effective, and it does the job that I need it to do for me. And so, what we've come to realize is like not everyone is wired up that way.
Yeah.
Like not everyone wants to have to go at their go like pick it off the shelf and figure it out. And so we're like, it'd be cool if we had some kind of like path for people
Hmm.
that for the guy who doesn't know us well or the girl who doesn't know us well that joins, like you said, like how can we get them into the conversation and get them moving down this path of like, okay, let's get you going where you say that you want to go. And because we do feel like we have a lot to offer to that conversation and to that process because we've lived through it.
Hmm.
It's like we just realized there was nothing there. I mean, you've been in the room. Like you can go watch videos, you can go do whatever, and we say all the time, like, hey, if anybody needs anything, if anybody's got any questions, if anybody needs to check in, even when we check in with the whole room, like people will give us some feedback, but it never has led to kind of what we had hoped for. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to stand up and admit to everybody that you need help, though. Like,
Yeah. No. Yeah.
like I love the thing that you're doing with the trader evaluation that you guys put together. Like that, I think just shows a level of involvement and a level of care that I don't think I've ever seen from a trading group before. And I've talked to a lot of these people.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, man. Like, to your point, what we realized those three or four things that I just spent 10
Hmm.
minutes explaining the falling short, how we felt like we were missing the mark.
Yeah, you're not doing a very good job advertising.
Yeah, well, and that too. I know, man. I've got to redo the website now. Thanks to you guys helping me realize that. Like, yeah, it's like
Hey,
nowhere in any of what your material is would I know that this is what you're doing. I'm like, well, that's because we haven't accomplished it yet, but we're about to make a good run at it.
yeah.
So
Well, I mean, there's you learn so much in the first few months of doing something new that you almost have to come back in 3 months, 6 months, a year, and reevaluate everything completely and see what's working, what's not.
yeah, I mean, we had our ideas of how we could help people when we started
Hmm.
and be of assistance, but like I said, like we just realized it wasn't happening, and so that is what you mentioned a minute ago. This what we're calling a baseline evaluation,
Hmm.
and so I mean, do you want me to just kind of lay out a little bit of like what that is? And
Let's just talk about the idea. I mean, because when I first looked at this thing, the first thing I said to my wife was, "If you can answer all these questions, you're halfway to a full, like, written out trading plan."
yeah, so man, like what Banks and I did is we realized we had this problem. I was like, okay, what can we do to address it, or like what would be a medium or like a context to navigate people forward? And I was like, dude, it's literally what we talk about. Like
Hmm.
it's the conversations that you and I have had through the years. And he was like, and so we were kicking that around. And he's like, yeah, like I remember a time when, and he like tells a story. He's like, I remember a time when I blah blah blah, and I don't remember all of these examples that he gave as we talked. And even at the other night when he would have all these examples, he's like, and then you said all of this, and then you asked me a bunch of questions. And I know one of them was around like small red days, like Banks is out here. Banks has made. Well, I don't know. I think I can say this. If he gets mad, then we'll just
don't have to say.
Apologize in the future. But just gonna say, like Banks has traded more in a day at times in the past than I would have in a month.
Oh,
like as far as like what he's pulled out of the market. There have been single days for him in the past that would have been more than what I would be targeting on like a pretty big month.
Wow.
But to the flip side, there was, and he mentioned this in the room, like there was the downside of that was like outsized losing days.
Right. Yeah.
And so one of the questions I had for him on the heels of like a tough day, we were just talking, he was like driving home from work or whatever. And I was like, dude, do you ever just have like small losing days? Like, my gosh. and he was like, not really. And I was like, well, do you think that's good? Like, I don't think you're happy when you have days like this. And so, yeah, we just like one of the things in this trader baseline evaluation is talking about like risk management and risk parameters. And there's like an entire page on with questions, fill in the blank questions, like give long answer questions or give long answers to these questions about risk management and how that works. Not necessarily what your ideal thing is, but like what are you doing right now?
Yeah.
And then there's some questions that bring you to like, how did you determine that is what you should do? And the reality for Banks at that time is he hadn't really thought through it that much. I mean, he kind of manages risk. He has traditionally had this strong risk management mindset because of his background. But then there was a season where he was kind of really sizing up into some stuff and like kind of, whatever. And I just remember that season not being great for him in some ways, like with some of the frustrations of all that. And I was like, and that's how that's just one example of like a conversation we had. And I was like, you were better for that. I was better for that. And like that changed the way that we approached the market. It made us better.
Right.
But like, how could we bottle that up and give that to someone and help them do the same? And so we have a section in this baseline evaluation that we give out where people get to grapple with that for themselves and try to figure it out.
And that's one of the things I love about this thing so much is that I have a feeling that a lot of people who get this for the first time are going to be looking at a lot of things that they haven't even considered yet.
Yeah. Oh, dude. I mean,
and that's good thing though.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I know, because you wonder, like, one of the questions I have often asked is like, where is my biggest leak? Like where is it? Because the P&L moves two ways. It moves from smaller losers or bigger winners, and then there's tons of other information that kind of dictate how that unfolds. Like, how do you end up with bigger winners? How do you end up with smaller losers? Like, there's tons. It's not a simple binary, I want bigger winners and smaller losers kind of thing. Like, there's a number of things that lead up to that being a result of a bunch of work that you've done prior. And as we like worked through conversations that we'd had through the years, we began to realize that we could boil it down to like a handful of topics. And then, credit where credit's due, we send this half produced, brainstorm edited by me, who's not a great editor, product to you guys, and said like, well, you look at this and whatever. And then like you and your wife were so kind and gracious with your time, but also with your care to maybe reword some of the questions, adjust some of the headings and make this tool into like what it is, which is I'm like extremely proud of. And I contributed such a small piece to the end product from the standpoint of the presentation of it and how it's laid out. So again, like, thanks,
Oh,
kudos to you guys for being awesome.
That's the part that Laura excels at. If you ever need something finished up and looking good, like presentation worthy, like she's the one you want to talk to.
Yeah, no, I feel that. So what if I can I kick around the other pieces of what we're kind of looking at in this, and then talk about how we roll it out, or
I was going to
what would you like?
suggest talking about one of the specific ones that really caught my attention when I was listening to the town hall last night.
Yeah.
If that's okay.
Yeah, dude, 100%.
It had to do with the emotions.
All right, I'm looking at it.
No, the emotions you commonly experience during trade entry management and trade exit. That was the one.
Yeah.
And I was reflecting on the emotions that I feel while I'm in a trade. And I actually, one trade I took this morning, which I was able to get before I had something come up and had to close up for the day. The one trade I was in, I just took a notepad and I started writing down the thoughts that were in my head while it was going on.
Dude, that is such a good idea.
So here's what I wrote down. I only got a few in there because I had to run out and do something else. But while it was going against me, it was just fear. Close it. It's going to lose. Get out, get out, get out was kind of the main theme. When it was winning and going my direction, all I could see was the negatives. They're absorbing here. This is not looking good for me. I should probably consider moving my stop. I don't like that bid out of this spot. Like, it's just fear whether I'm winning, fear whether I'm losing. And I think that was real eye opening.
Dude, that is the kind of work that you have to labor through. I think, honestly, and you were in the town hall, and Flary talked about this as well. Like,
yeah,
these questions will direct you to put some labor and introspection and work into some areas that maybe you would have never thought of the in this way.
Mm-hmm.
But that question, like writing those things down and thinking through that, like I have so many thoughts that I would like to say to you about that. I don't know if you want,
yeah, go ahead. We got a little bit. I mean, might as well see how this evaluation can benefit you, right?
Yeah. Well, so in just a little side plug is that, the idea is we send this evaluation out to people that come in on the trial, and we extended a trial for 14 days so that we would have time for them to fill this out, and then we could meet with them and then give them some input and some direction, and basically identify some strengths and encourage them in those, and identify some weaknesses and give them some tools and some steps to take towards their weaknesses. And then, like, if someone stays for 14 days, does that, and they leave and they're better traders because of it, then, like, we consider that a win. If they want to stay and continue to work the process out over the course of the months to come, great. But either way, we're hopefully positioning people for moving forward.
Baba, did you listen to the conversation I had with I think it was it Brannigan?
When was it?
It was a couple weeks ago. It was one of the things that he specifically mentioned was that the people providing all these services, and I think it was more towards the prop firms, but I think that this does apply to trading rooms and some of the other different services that are out there, about how the risk is all on the person signing up for the services. Like, when you sign up for a course, you're paying $2,000 up front to get access to the library materials. But if, 2 videos in, you find it's not for you, you're shit out of luck.
Man, maybe we need to redo our business model.
Maybe. But what I love about what you guys are doing here is you're taking the risk on yourselves. You're putting a lot of time and effort into people who aren't paying customers yet, that are just checking it out to see if it's for them, and showing that kind of care, and that for somebody who's just a potential client, I think is what is just it's refreshing to see in this space.
Yeah.
Longtime fans of the show should be familiar with the lender formerly known as Sue Pullen, and I'm pleased to announce that she's back, fresh off a rebrand and ready to help as Sue Mackey. Sue is a certified mortgage advisor at Fairway Independent Mortgage, an equal housing lender who focuses on finding the right product for you and your needs. She has over 20 years of experience helping thousands of homeowners. Whether it's purchasing, refinancing, or even a reverse mortgage, Sue will help. Sue's licensed in 36 states now, so reach out and let Sue Mackey it happen for you. The best way to reach her is just give her a call at 520-977-7904 or in an email, spullen@fairwaymc.com. Fairway Independent Mortgage has an MLS number of 2289. Sue Mackey has an MLS number of 206048. That email again, spullen@fairwaymc.com, and that phone number is 520-977-7904. Shoot Sue an email and let her know she needs to update that address.
I don't know, man. Like, sure, would we like for people to stay around? Yeah, I mean, that'd be great. What we would like to think is that what we're doing, confidence enough in what we have to offer that we think people will find value in it. And if they're in a place where they can continue because of what we think we can offer a value even through this process, if they're in a place where they can continue with us, we think that this is the kind of thing that captures kind of the idea and the ideals of what we're trying to do. So it's like, how can we show new people what we're really about? Well, this is the way to do it. And then it's like, well, you're kind of giving away the heart and soul of what you want to accomplish. And I'm like, yeah, we are, but like, I mean, we're giving away the nuts and bolts of it. But I think I think that we trust the marketplace and we feel like it's the right thing to do. I don't know. I don't have a great answer for you, but
I don't think you need to worry about that. And you can give all the information in the world to somebody who's new, and without like somebody to help mentor them and tell them like what information is important and what to disregard and what things to focus their process on, and like how to actually like ask those tough questions to yourselves and come to an answer to like better yourself mentally. And without all of that stuff, like success is going to be hard to find.
Yeah. And at the end of it, like at the end of like or as far as this idea, like as I think of, someone comes for the trial and if someone goes through this process with us where they go through this evaluation and we meet with them for like 30 minutes or an hour, whatever it takes, and we work through it and we cast some vision for where they could improve and what they could do to improve it. If they don't like that, if that's not for them, then man, we have just saved everybody time.
Yeah.
Really, actually.
Right?
And we've actually saved them money, and we've saved them the awkwardness of like, oh, this isn't for me, or man, these guys are nice, but this isn't like my kind of deal. Like we just kind of like shortcut all of that, which I think is great.
Yes.
And one of the funny things about me that you might find to be kind of weird is like or maybe you'll pick. I don't know. I'd be interested in like I don't really love like small talk. Like I don't really like to like beat around the bush or like just placate to someone for 30 minutes that I'm never going to see again.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of like to be socially like amicable with whatever the expectations are in our culture of like how you interact.
Okay. I don't like that either, actually. No.
Yeah. Like it just kills me. And so this idea of like shaking someone's hand that just came to the room and then saying, all right, let's dive into your life and your trading and your deepest, darkest secrets around your trading and your biggest goals and dreams and like, where are you falling apart? Like to me, that is exhilarating and exciting to just like have people in the room.
See the movie?
Yeah. Like I'm glad you're in our room. Hope you're doing well. Like that doesn't do it for me, man.
Yeah.
Like it's exciting to me. I said this in the town hall last night. It's exciting. I feel like I'm pretty critical of like myself, of our room, of what we do. Like I'm always looking to figure out how to do things different and better. Because I really have this, and someone that I told this to, actually, I'm going to tell you what they said after I tell you. I'm going to pull the conversation up.
Ooh.
This will be, this is interesting. So I said it should matter that people are in our room. Like it should matter that someone is choosing to be a part of what we're doing at Vanta in their like, for them as a trader and in their ability to navigate the marketplace. Now, what I'm not saying is I can guarantee that someone's going to make, thousands of dollars every day or hundreds of dollars every day or whatever gets someone excited, whatever amount of money gets someone excited.
Mm-hmm.
But what I can say is like, we know the things, we can identify the things that are costing you money, and we can give you some clear direction as to what steps you could take to begin to curb that. But at the end of the day, the work is going to be on them.
Yeah.
But I was having a conversation with someone else about this, and I said the challenging thing for me at times, or they said, what is this room about? And I said, the room is to model a consistent approach to the market that breeds consistent results, to teach in a way that pieces of what we do that makes sense to an individual or member can be incorporated into their current method or their developing method to help them improve. And we want to model what continuously learning about market, like new things about the market. How do you incorporate those into your trading method as it stands responsibly, that in a way that doesn't breed method hopping?
Mm-hmm.
And how can we be a resource to help advance traders towards their goals in the market with a methodical structure based around awareness, mentality, and execution, like their mentality and execution.
Right.
We don't want to be a call out room. We want to be open about positioning and bias, but we don't want people to passively sit and hover their finger over a button until I say go.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and the rebuttal that I got is, this is what someone said. They said, just remember that 90% of these people aren't going to be there inside of a year, so be careful what you give to them.
Why does that matter?
Well, my thing is, like, why would you say that about a bunch of people that you don't know?
Yeah.
And I said, even if that's true, my goal is to build something unique, something that I could believe in and be proud of. And this person said, well, that's certainly the hope when you're trying to get something started. And I said, and I just kind of was like, okay, man, like, I really just struggled to view people in the room that are striving to attain the same goals that I've strived to attain. Like, I can't view them as just a number on a page.
Right.
Like, my goal is that we have an open dialogue with regular check-ins, one-on-one sessions, and that we're continuing to measure, like, eventually we want to measure our room's profitability, not because we could say, oh, look how much money we're all making. We want to be able to do it in a very, like, general way that documents people's progress, and we go,
Yeah.
look, we're moving forward.
It's a metric for you guys. I mean, that's really the bottom line.
I said, so, like, that's what we're building, man. That's what I want to build, and that's the kind of thing that I will give time to, and will fight for. And the whole thing was like, it was just funny, the continual rebuttals. Like, that's a really high standard. I don't know that you should have a standard that high. You might should reconsider offering one-on-ones to everyone.
Is this somebody that signed up for the trial?
No.
Mm-mm. Oh, okay.
It's someone that in the past I had traded with, and
okay,
they were just saying, like, you probably need to slow all this down and bring your goals for people much lower, because people aren't going to put in the work. They're not going to stick there and work for it and all this. And I just think, like, well, if that's what I believe, like, if I believe that about them, then they probably won't.
Yeah.
But I think one thing about trading, and I told you this in the call that we had where we talked through my story, is when somebody believes in you, mm-hmm. and they put in, like, the work and the effort and the time with you to help you grow and be a better version of yourself, there's something about that. Yeah. Like, about someone having confidence in you. Like I said in that thing, like, Banks saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, and he believed something about me that I didn't believe at the time about myself.
Yeah. And then that little bit of belief can be such a powerful motivator.
Oh yeah, dude, 100%. So I only share all of that out of a conversation to say that is what some people think. Flip all of that around and say, like, that's what some people think about rooms and about being a part of rooms and all of that. And that's not what we're doing and not what we're trying to do here. So yeah, I'm really excited about it, man. We've gotten our first couple of people sending them back in. Everyone that we've given it to. Mm-hmm. The first response has been like, oh gosh, this is going to take a while.
Yeah.
Which I think is awesome, dude. It's like, yeah, man, how serious do you want to be?
Yeah.
I mean, can you really be upset about not achieving whatever goals you have if you haven't turned over every stone? Uh-huh. Like, if you haven't introspection, you haven't put in the work, you haven't defined your process, all of this stuff, like, then you can't expect pristine results if you're not putting in pristine work, man. Like, you just can't.
No, absolutely
you can't. In any area. I was listening to a UFC coach talk about how difficult rematches are. Say, like, a champion has the belt in Ultimate Fighting or whatever, and mixed martial arts, and then the champion loses the fight, and then the champion, gets a chance to rematch the person that beat him. And the coach, very high level coach, very high level team, was talking about. He's like, we have to take it to another level. And he said the hard thing is you have to go find a stone somewhere that you haven't turned over, because when we're doing our work, when we're preparing for this first fight, we don't go into a fight thinking we left anything unturned.
Right.
So when we lose the fight, and we got to go back to the drawing board, and we got to try to find something that we didn't find before and uncover something that we never uncovered before, when we were fully confident in our work the first time. That level of he was talking about it. He's like, that level of like pristine work is what is exciting to me.
That
crazy. Challenge is what is exciting to me.
I didn't even think about that perspective, because then you also have to overcome the psychology of losing to that guy too, and now you got to go back after you just gave what you thought was your best.
Yeah, dude, for the fighter and for the team. I mean, they have like a team of people that help them prepare for this stuff. And again, I mean, there's another example. Like, you have some of the most high performance athletes in the world, and they have a support structure of a gigantic team that believes in them, that constantly is checking in on them, that is helping them develop their skill sets. And even though that person isn't the one going to fight, and maybe that fighter that's going into the ring could actually beat everyone on their team, but they know that without everyone on their team, they would never be able to accomplish what they're able to do. And so I think, again, like in light of this evaluation, even someone that's trading 10 times the size as myself or Banks and is twice as profitable or whatever, like if they haven't gone through and answered the questions that we're laying out, then they could be even better.
Yeah. Yep.
There's work for them to do. And that's the cool thing about this is everywhere you find high performance individuals, you find a group of people striving to push someone to be maybe as good as they thought they could be, or maybe in some cases better than they ever imagined they could be.
One of the things that really stuck with me from the town hall was listening to not only Flaherty's praise over what you guys were doing, but his willingness to jump in immediately and do the evaluation himself. Like, he, without hesitation, said he was doing it and urging everybody else to. If Flaherty thinks that he can find value in doing an eval like this, I think all of us can.
Yeah. What did he say? He said a quote, and
the quote from today about why would you do all the work and just to sit and watch it play out?
No. In the town hall the other night, he said something like, "You're stealing from yourself."
Yeah. Yep.
If you're not willing to sit down and spend the time it would take to work through these 8 pages. And the funny thing about that is, and we talked about this on the town hall as well, so many of the things that are in this eval have his fingerprints on them from our relationship through the years as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. You can see it on there.
Yeah. So it's super cool. Super, super cool. So yeah, we're freaking jacked about it, dude. I am thrilled. I mean, sure, it's going to be a lot of work and gonna be some late nights here or there, but like, I don't know, dude. Like, don't you want to? I told Banks, like, and I kind of hesitate a little bit to say this, but I think it's true to form, and it is in accordance with like the tenor of what we're talking about. I told Banks, like, if I can't help people move forward, and like we can't figure out a way to measure it, and we can't figure out some systematized way to give people some help that they need, like I'm more interested at that point in just talking to Banks on the phone and trading every day.
Yeah.
Like there's no point to doing this, or we just capitulate completely and become a call out room. But if we say with our mouth and with our website and with our intentions, and if it's like our desire to go in here and help build traders into better versions of themselves, if that's what we say we're going to do, then that's what we've got to do. And we've just realized that like we've made a decent effort so far, and that we realize that there's this whole other part that we can step into, and it's a learning process for us as well. And it's like, dude, let's go. And if we're not going to do this, and we're not going to do this work, then like, what's the point? Like, what's the point of any of it? I mean, because that's our stated goal, and we both agree on it, and like he's as hyped as I am about it. So it's like, all right. I mean, he's texted me, I don't know how many times in the last 48 hours leading up to the town hall.
Yeah.
And then after the town hall, we talked. And then today, multiple times. And like we're really jacked about what we think the potential is here for people, man. And the cool thing is, not to just continue on and on.
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh gosh.
I knew I get it in there.
Yeah, you did. You dirty rascal. I was just going to say, the cool thing is that we've already, just with what we were doing before this ever crossed my mind or crossed Bank's mind, we have seen people the people that message us, dude. It means so much to me.
Yeah.
Like people from the room message us sometimes. It'll mean different things to different people depending on where they are in the journey. But like people that have passed prop accounts, that struggled to pass prop accounts before, people that have gained a measure of consistency that like 6 months ago they didn't think was possible. People that have reimagined their process just from being a part of our room and seeing us consistently approaching the market the way we do. And so like, it's not like we're a giant failure until now, but it's like, if our efforts were compared to this, were like 50% of what we have to offer, we think, then now we're maybe moving it to 60 or 70% with this of a streamlined process of what we have to offer. Like, then how much better, like how much cooler is it going to be? How much cooler are the messages going to be that we get from people as they go through this and start to see some benefit from it? Like that gets me freaking pumped. Like,
yeah,
to see some of the things that Mike Ross has accomplished in the room in like the 3 months that he's been even trading futures, dude. I freaking go nuts about that, bro. Like I'm such a fan, dude.
Is he is he the real Mike Ross? He might actually be if he's
dude. Hey, I'm gonna tell you what, like, he is really smart.
Yeah.
Like in real life, yeah. Like we're geographically located close enough to each other to have hung out in person quite a bit. And in fact, he sat at my house for one of the town halls.
Oh, I remember that.
A few weeks ago. Yeah. He's a really, really, really sharp guy. He is really smart. I can't wait for him to get a little more confidence in what he thinks and what he sees in the market.
Yeah.
Because then once he gets a little more confident, he'll be a little more willing to like put it out there, I think. And also, like, I can't wait to then just like pick his brain like crazy, because new people see things, man.
Yeah.
Like new traders, fresh eyes, people who are really smart. Like another guy in the room is nameless deity is in the room, and he's also like, he's one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. And new to trading futures, but dude, just incredibly sharp-minded guy. And I'm like, dude, when he gets a little bit going into futures a little bit more, he is going to uncover. He's going to uncover things that I would have never uncovered. Like, I can't wait. I'm like, dude, come on, like keep learning, keep growing, because like
read this
you're
book
so much
next.
better.
Read this next. Yeah, watch this video.
You're so much smarter than me. So like, it shouldn't take you long to be way better than me, and then I'm going to benefit from you being here.
Right.
You know, that's the way I think about a lot of those guys. You know, like a lot of respect for them, and I appreciate everybody that's in there. You know, that's just a couple of examples that come to mind of some of the fun stuff, man.
That's freaking awesome, man. Like I said before, and I'll say it again, man, I really love what you guys are doing and the direction you guys are heading. I think if you guys aren't a big name in a year from now, you should be, and it's going to be.
Well, you know, we'll see.
Yeah, it's happening, man. It's going to happen. You guys are just offering way too much value for what you guys are charging for people to ignore it for too much longer.
Oh yeah, all I see are the times that like I mess something up, or
that's just like, the nature of being an owner of anything. Like, think about any like home project you do. You're gonna see like the uneven edge and the corner that nobody else notices because it's off by half a degree. Or
I've got a picture that I framed. I built the frame for a painting that a friend of mine did for us, and I was like, I think I can frame this myself. That'd be a fun project. Well, everyone that looks at the frame says like, "Oh, that is so cool. Did you get that done, or where'd you get that done?" And all I can notice is one of the miter joint cuts is not exactly like the other ones, and it just annoys me to no end. So yeah, case in point. Like,
I did the same thing with the little shelf for my pool table to hold my chalk, little chalk roll. Yeah, it was really neat. Like, I kind of did it all just freehand and kind of made it up myself, but like sits on a little piece that screws into the wall that has a 45 angle cut on it, and the shelf just sits on top of that.
Yep.
But if I was smart, I would have flipped it to where the seam of that line was actually below the shelf rather than above it, and that drives me nuts every time I see it.
Yeah.
Nobody else sees that.
Yeah, well, that's the way it goes, though. You're right. Well, here's a question. Here's a question for you. You ready?
All right. What do you got?
Unless you have a question for me, but I have a question for you. I feel like we covered most of what we wanted to cover about this project we have. Yeah. And yeah, man, like, hey, anybody, I'll say this too. Like, we are at some point, I don't know, with the bot that we use to put people in the room, it's set up that if you've joined the room before on trial, you can't join it again on trial. If you joined the room before we made it 14 days and before we had this out there and you want another go at it, to just message me on Twitter or message me on Discord, message Banks. Dude, that's not a problem.
No, message me. I'll set you up too.
Yeah, or message Kyle. He can get it. Like, just let us know. We'll put you back in. Like, and no, like, it's not a problem. Like, we've had a couple people already be like, oh, I wish, it's like, dude, chill. We got it. We got you. Okay.
Just ask.
Yeah, we got you. So my question to you is, Kyle, I want to circle back to your emotions that you talked about.
The fear. Yes.
Yeah. So some of the questions that I don't know that we necessarily could get them answered, but one of the questions I would ask, I think that you could probably spend some time thinking about is when you're writing out like these things like I should move my stop or whatever for each one of those things that you write down, because I think what it boils down to is there's some lies about trading and your ability to do it.
Lies.
Yeah, there's some lies, I think.
Interesting.
That it is easy for us to trip into believing, or at least that overly critical voice inside of us that and that we oftentimes can listen to, and that really doesn't help. Like oftentimes that voice is not the one that helps us actually critically think and
No, that's the voice that wants me to go get a real job and stop trying this risky shit.
Yeah, see, yeah, there you go. Yeah. So what I would say, and I've done this before, this thing I'm about to tell you, is like write down, like, so you said a lot of negatives, fear,
close it, it's
going to lose, move my stops, I've seen absorption here. So for each one of those things that this would apply to, I would write out the case for why, for what, like, when you're not in a trade, what is your perspective on that idea? So the idea of moving stops, as you've looked back through your trading and you've thought about your R skew and your profile of like your profitability per trade and all of that, how has moving stops served you or not served you?
Oh, I know it hasn't. I have data that shows that.
Yeah, exactly. So then the practice, even though we have the data or whatever, literally, like, I think there's something in the tactile nature of writing, or at least for me there is, of literally writing down, like, when I'm in a trade, emotions I feel, just like you said before, and you list them out. And then for any of the ones that are technical in nature, like something about absorption, like, besides just looking and watching, how do you quantify absorption, and what measure of absorption is enough to thwart whatever your entry context was? So there are definitely exit ramps to a trade for me. If I see certain things, I am gonna move my stop to break even, or I am gonna scale more than I thought, right? But
I'm guessing those are very clearly defined.
Yeah, I know exactly. Like, yeah, like, if I see for example, if I see, unless it's during contract roll, if I'm in a position that's direction, like if I'm in a long position and I see a certain amount of delta in a given set of trade, like in a certain amount of volume, so out of, say, 750 volume, if I'm in a trade and there's in that 750 volume, there's more than the 350 or whatever my
More than that.
thing is, more than half of it is to one side or the other, like positive or negative, then there's a 10-point range around that candle that is my go, like that now becomes my new go or no go zone.
Interesting.
Right? Because one of the patterns that I've observed and tested out is how does the market interact with that when it happens, right? So, and then I've realized that there's this roughly 10-point range around those candles that is kind of like it's like a little section of gravity. It's like that candle has a little radius of gravity around it, and once we break outside of that, then the rebid or reoffer of that is very much alive. And if that rebid or reoffer is opposite my trade direction, then that rebid or reoffer is when I am closing out that that trade. And so then it becomes not just oh, there was 300 positive delta in this 750 volume, so I'm closing, or in 512 trades, 300 of that was all sell side, I'm out of this trade. Or, oh, the DOM looks like it's absorbing, but I can contextualize that. So then when I feel these emotions, then, which I have felt and you feel, it's like I have a place to put that.
Yeah.
And I don't have to believe the lie that says that I'm not good enough to win trades.
Mm-hmm.
Because the reality is you are. And I am, and other people are as well. Like we have done the work.
Yeah.
And so what I would say is honoring, and we talked about this in the town hall, like the language of honoring the labor that I have put in to develop my process and my trading, whatever, like then honoring that work and honoring myself is like, I am worth that. And that sounds a little like self-helpy, but it's the truth.
Well, it is. I mean,
because the flip side of that is you're saying that you're not worth it. Which is not really going to help you move forward, right?
Yep. It's interesting that I'd like that, and it actually does point to, I think, some holes in my process where I don't think I have my exit strategy as clearly defined as it should be.
Yeah. Well, that was another thing I was going to ask you is, what are the conditions for you closing a trade, period? And then what are the conditions? What are the 2 or 3 things that are actually appropriate to divert you away from your original intention and bail on a trade? And if you don't have those clearly defined, then I think you will have those in the moment questions where fear starts to creep in of, I don't want to lose a trade, or I don't want to give back profits or whatever, and you start to make a case real quick for, oh, there's absorption, oh, the tape speed, oh, the whatever, and you can convince yourself that you're seeing anything.
Yep. That's exactly it.
Yeah, which I mean,
it's funny because I thought after my first reflection on it that it was all about an aversion to being wrong. Like, I don't like to lose. I actually am a very competitive person. Losing is not something I like, and that was kind of the direction I was going down. But I like what you just suggested there. I'm gonna give that a try.
Yeah, and I'm like, for me, I am. I love like clear cut data, clean plans, organizing stuff. Like I tell you, it's easy for me to do all that. The application of it at times can be difficult, which is the work that I have, that we'll all have from now on. The work of applying all the things we know, because we probably all know enough to make 10 times what we make. It's the connection to it and the ability to
execute it, pull the trigger when you've taken 3 losses in a row.
All of that. And then it all works together. I mean, like the level of confidence you have in your execution strategy directly affects the level of confidence and how you feel about your risk, because I'm okay to risk it because I've seen it work so well. And then the mental side becomes healthier because you have positive reinforcement whenever you do these behaviors. It all does kind of tie together. I mean, it is a mosaic, it's not just these myopic things, these singular things. Oh, we'll fix this one thing. But there are things that you can address in an individual sense that give tertiary benefit to the other parts of your trading, which is kind of cool. And dude, I don't know, like it could be that some of that fear of losing competitive is driving some of that. But at the end of the day, I think the steps to take to begin to combat either one of those, whether it's fear of losing or the competitive side or the just the like self-belief and trust of like your capacity and ability, because you do deserve to win trades. And I don't mean every trade. I mean, you're smart enough to be a winning trader, right? You have the chops, right?
Yes.
Whether it's that or what you mentioned, I think the steps
still, I think, are the same.
Yeah, some of those steps definitely are super similar. And just like from experience, I think it's that I've done that and it's incredibly insightful and has been helpful, dude. So
what do you think about, because I'm planning on filling out this evaluation form this weekend. What do you think about us recording maybe the conversation of the review of that?
I'm down, dude. I'm down with it. I mean, I don't care. Yeah, I'm fine. We can definitely do that.
All right, let's set that up then, because I think that's going to be one of the better ways to kind of showcase what you guys are doing, is maybe give a little taste of it.
Well, I'll tell you, we'll sink or swim, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's like the cool thing about this too, right? Like for me, there's a little exhilaration because I have done this kind of work with a handful of people I've traded with in the past, trading with banks. We've worked, like we have organically participated in this type of thing. But when you kind of formalize it and you say, like, I will now tell you the things I think you could do to benefit, you kind of put yourself on the hook a little bit. Like it feels like I'm putting myself on the forefront, which I mean we kind of are, right? But like it's kind of exciting, you know. Like there's a little buzz to it. Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's wrap it.
I think we need to wrap this up though. So let's do that. We'll reconvene. Let's see. I'll get this filled out over the weekend, and then we'll kind of touch base and see when we can get that scheduled to record that.
Perfect.
But yeah, that is going to do it today. Special thank you, Baba. Thank you so much for the quick turnaround of this episode. We had that hole in the schedule, and this all just kind of lined up perfectly. I really appreciate you taking the time away from your family on a Friday evening to just hang out and talk about trading. Not a problem. When there's so many other things probably want to be doing.
Not a problem, dude. Glad to be here.
And then anybody listening here, like Baba had mentioned, they take advantage of that 14-day trial. Go down to Vanta Trading, check out what they're doing for yourself. If you enjoyed this episode or you got something useful out of listening, please tell your friends. And if you want more, go check out the guest directory. You can see all the other amazing people we've had the pleasure of speaking with. All those links be in the episode description. We'll be back soon with another exciting episode. But until then, don't you want to, Vanta? Don't you? Don't you want to? Don't you want to?
Sure. Everyone does.
Two Bulls in a China Shop is an entertainment program, and all thoughts and opinions expressed in the show belong to the hosts and not of any company. They are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security or investment product. It is only intended to provide entertainment about stocks in the financial industry of trading. If you make trades based on what you hear in this show, you assume all risks for those trades.